So I do want to ask you, is there a specific order to the photos on the wall, or it's just random?
Yeah, so sure. Yeah, okay. So Steve Jobs is here because he wants to put a dent in the universe. Next is AP Giannini. He's my favorite entrepreneur of all time. He started Bank of America.
Okay.
He bet on the little guy. So have a big vision from Steve Jobs. The vision is to help entrepreneurs. Well, how do I help entrepreneurs? Well, I want to help them believe in themselves more, because that's from my parents here. Howard Schultz he started Starbucks, standing up for your beliefs, which is why Howard is there. And then the last one is Kanye West. He said, the time is now to be the greatest you.
All right, welcome back to the Witz podcast. We are here with an awesome, amazing guest today, Mr. Evan Carmichael. Evan is an entrepreneur. He believes in entrepreneurs and has a long history and experience of success. At 19, he built and then sold a biotech software company. And at 22, he was a venture capitalist helping raise $500,000 to $15 million. He now runs one of the biggest YouTube channels for entrepreneurs with 2 million plus subscribers. He's written 4 books, he speaks globally, and he wants to solve the world's biggest problem. He has set 2 world records, he uses a trampoline and a stand-up desk, and owns Canada's largest salsa dance studio, and has a giant bag of Doritos in front of him all day to remind him that he is stronger than the bag of Doritos. Toronto is his home. He's a husband, a father, a TSM fan, and a Timo main. And we are very excited to have Evan. Evan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for love, Greg. Good to be here, man.
Man, I'm honored to have you here. This is a big thing for me. I think been following you and watching you for a while, and it's impressive what you do. So I'm just thankful for having this time. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about, or get your perspective, advice, whatever you want to call it, on things like entrepreneurship, leadership. I think right now we're living in this pretty intense climate and world right now. We're all struggling as entrepreneurs to make it. We're creating content. And some of the most basic, simple things from success habits are, I think, the things that are going to see us through. So why don't we start with this? You're an entrepreneur. Why don't we start with a little bit around what your sort of mantras are, or maybe not your mantras are, but what are some of the main success habits that you try to employ running a business or being an entrepreneur?
So I really try to live by my schedule. I think your actions map to your ambitions, or they should at least. People say that they want to do all these things, but okay, show me in your calendar, where are you actually getting them done? There's a lot of people who have a hard time making that transition from being an employee to being an entrepreneur, because they're used to being told what they should do. And now when they're totally in charge of themselves, they struggle because they don't have somebody kind of watching over them constantly. And I think that's a big problem, is that people will show up for their boss. Like if you don't show up on a Monday morning, you're gonna hear it.
For sure.
But a lot of people won't show up for themselves. Who's watching you? So we show up for other people, but we don't show up for ourselves.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we don't show up for ourselves?
Mostly fear.
Psychology. Yeah, fear.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, fear. I mean, we're afraid that we're not even afraid of failure. We're afraid of failing in front of other people.
Right. The image, right? My brand, my identity.
People, even before that, I mean, you'll sing in the shower, but you won't sing on the street corner. We're afraid of letting other people down. We're afraid, and this is still me too. I mean, it's just, I'm constantly afraid of disappointing people. It's my number one fear, but I try as much as possible not to let that stop me from doing the things that I need to do. So we're afraid that it's not going to work. We're afraid that we're going to tell our friends and family that we're starting this business, and then it doesn't yield anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get paralyzed by it, and then we don't do the work. But then you end up working for somebody else, not liking your job, helping somebody else build their dream because you haven't had the courage and confidence to chase down yours.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get over your fears? You mentioned that one of your big fears is, disappointing people, letting people down. I actually have one of those as well. I work really hard to show up for people, and I put a lot of pressure on myself. But I mean, how do you deal with that?
So I have mantra. If it's scary, difficult, or hard, I have to do it. Cool. If I ever hear myself saying that, scary, difficult, or hard, that means go time. Just because I said it, I want to teach myself. I think when you tell yourself I'm afraid and then you don't do it, you're teaching yourself that you suck. Right. You're teaching yourself to play small, because the next time you get scared of something, you're not going to do it again. And now you've built this repeating pattern where you don't do things because you're afraid. Or instead I'd say, you know what? I expect to suck. I expect it not to work. I expect my first video or podcast or sales call or whatever to not go well, but I'm going to reward myself for the effort. The fact that I said that it was scary means I have to do it because I am Evan Carmichael. Like that's the internal dialogue constantly.
Cool.
And I'll also ask my friends and family, you know, if you ever hear me say this, you need to call me out and say, Evan, you just said it. You said, well, that's hard. Great. Okay. Now I got to do it. As long as it's not even in service of your mission, as long as it's not of disservice to you. So as long as it's not against your values, right? Like don't go rob a store because it's difficult. Or if it doesn't cause physical harm, right? Like don't jump out of an airplane because you're scared without a parachute. Like that's just stupid. But most of the things we're afraid to do are actually of service to other people. We're just afraid of being judged.
I totally agree with that. And I talk a lot about exposure, which is one of the ways we get past anxiety, these fears, these stresses, is with a little bit of what you just said, which is I say, just do it. And another thing that we talk a lot about is action will create the path, which is if we're so busy just waiting and being paralyzed, not moving, the answers become very difficult to see. And it's the steps forward and the movement forward. But you also mentioned something that you rely a lot on your peer group or friends and family. How important is that for, call it entrepreneurial, being a successful entrepreneur? How important it is to have that spouse in your corner, championing you, even though it might be scary and fearful, that positive peer group?
So I have two groups that I would consider really instrumental. The first are my aspirational mentors. So Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey, all the people I make videos on. And I've had the good fortune to actually hang out with some of them, like Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Dean Graziosi and those guys, who push me to be a better me, more ambition, more courageousness, more confidence. Because no matter how big I'm thinking, I watch a Elon Musk video and realize, oh my God, I'm not thinking big at all. Right. Backup plan for the planet is what he's working on. What am I working on?
Right.
So I think that's a pull forward. My friends and my family are not doing that. My wife doesn't push me to be more ambitious, more courageous. Tell me where I suck, in a loving, positive way. That side is more just for support. But what I love about my wife is whatever I want to do, she'll always say yes. She'll always join me, at least the first time. And she's always encouraging of what I need to do, as well as my own, I'll get obsessed on things. When I need to start, I have to do it. And she sees the look in my eyes, like, okay, I'll take care of all this other stuff. You go do what you need to do.
Very cool.
So I think those two support systems are essential. One, to the people who support you and give you the motivation and just the love. But that's easy to then stay like the big fish in the small pond. So you need that other group who's going to say, no, you're actually a tiny fish there. Like, let's go play a bigger game.
Yeah, cool. Always play up. There's a great saying, which is you want to play golf with better golfers.
That's it.
Right. You don't want to downplay. So just a personal question. Do you have kids?
I have 11-year-old son. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, how much do you as a parent talk to your son about this kind of stuff? Is it like daily with you guys or does it weave into parenting?
I think the best thing so I don't necessarily give parenting advice.
I know. And I'm not asking for advice. I'm just asking for you as dad, like you got your 11-year-old, you by definition, you study success.
Yeah.
Right. And how much of that do you think seeps into you as a dad and the lessons that you try to instill in him?
So I think the best thing that you could do, at least the thing that I try to do, is what my parents taught me. And they're behind the wall here in my room, is leading by example. So much more than what I say, it's what I do. Yeah. So one of the things my parents always did for me is anytime that I struggled or suffered, they tell me that I'm Evan Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe that I can. And so I try to instill that into my son. Anytime I'm dropping him off or he's going to bed or anything, it's a daily or nightly ritual of Carmichael's can do, and he says anything. So I'll say Carmichael's can do, and he says anything. Okay, good night, love you. Off to the next day to start. We'll do things like play League of Legends together. Cool. And inside of that, if he dies and he stresses out, it's like, breathe, relax, let's go. Like, I think it's teaching the lessons through the activities more than we don't just sit down and say, okay, let's talk about leadership today,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's trying to maybe sometime we'll get there, but he's 11. So we do it within the activities that he's interested in. So he loves drawing. I suck at drawing. I hate drawing, but we draw together. And inside of drawing, you'll have lots of lessons potentially come up and see how they react to it. So really just trying to lead by example. I think one of the only things that I do besides that Carmichael's Can Do Anything is we created a 254 confidence series, which is a
Mm-hmm.
video series for 254 days to help build your confidence. And he watches one of those in the morning. And they've all been, censored out, and
Sure.
it's always a positive message.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 1 to 4 minutes. So it's not like a couple hours in the morning. And then he's got to say, what did he learn from that? But
Cool.
otherwise, I think it's just in the living, and as problems come up, how do you deal with them? Like if you're raging because you lost the game, or you died, or you made a mistake on that drawing or something, but then you tell him don't rage, like
Mhm.
they're gonna do what they see, not what you say.
Right. The greatest parenting tool, in fact, leadership tool, is modeling the behavior you want to see. I do
Yeah.
a lot of work with leaders, and I often draw that parallel where I'm like, look, if you're acting and behaving like this as a leader, right, you're communicating in this fashion, you're doing these things, there's a good chance you're doing that as a parent. And, as you just said, doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do, because they're like sponges and they're just going to take it all up. So let's switch that to leadership. What do you think we need to have as leaders today to be successful, to run successful teams? And I can get a little more detailed with that, considering the fact that I think what we tend to see in business and in personal life is people are highly stressed, right? Environment, people are stressed, people are craving the knowledge industry and thought leadership to learn how to navigate this. Where's that line with us as leaders? What do we need to do to, if we're going to be successful parents, be successful leaders with these people?
I start with, I want the people on my team to win as humans more than I want them to win with me. That's the starting point for all of my leadership. So anybody who's worked with me, some people work with me, I've had them for a decade, still work with me, and some maybe it's 6 months and they're out to do something else. But I want them to win as people more than I want them to win with me. And that dramatically shifts the relationship, because they're not just thinking, oh, he just cares about how to get my knowledge out or my effort out, but he cares about me as a human. So I see people as running parallel paths, right? Right now, we're running a parallel path. We're both spending this time here today to have this conversation. Um, maybe we never talk again, or maybe we form a business partnership and we're talking every day for the next 14 years. I don't know. But we have this limited time of running a parallel path, and I want to try to help impact that other person as a human as much as possible. Very often it's, let's keep running this parallel path together because it's great for both of us.
Mhm.
So to make that happen, then there's guidance, there's mentorship, there's helping them, there's talking to them.
Mhm.
Or maybe the best thing to do is say, hey, you know what? You should go work for Greg because he needs this. And what you want to do isn't what I can provide for you. I'm actually holding you back. I've had to kick people out, great people, because their dreams and ambitions are to do something else. And I have to
Mhm.
give them the belief and confidence to leave me to go do that thing.
Mhm.
So it just starts with wanting people to win more than I want them to win with me.
Yeah, I wish every leader thought like that, because it's true. I mean, the definition and the responsibility of leadership is for you to lift people, right? And sometimes business gets in the way of that. But some of us are doing it fairly well, and sounds like you are. All right, so talk to me about your schedule. You mentioned it earlier. I saw this post from you recently. I actually have sent that to a number of my coaching clients and be like, dude or dudette, you have to follow this type of thing. And I'm struggling to do it because I'm a little bit of a sporadic guy. But how did you come up with that schedule? How long have you been living it? Tell us what it is and why is it successful?
Sure. So I have a morning routine that I'll do daily, and then I have different things that I do on different days. So we're talking on Thursday. Thursday is my public facing day. So I'm naturally an introvert, but on Thursday is put on the extrovert hat and go spread the mission. So it's Instagram lives, it's podcasts, it's Zooms, like all day long. I'm going to be done at 9 o'clock tonight, just all day talking to different entrepreneurs for their shows and
Mhm.
episodes. But then I don't think about it until next Thursday. So Monday is my mentoring day. I just spend a whole day mentoring the people on our team. We've got 25 people on the team, and that's who I'm talking to on Mondays. Tuesday is my YouTube day. I'm just making YouTube content, strategizing usually in the morning, recording videos in the afternoon. Wednesday is my project day, and depending on which Wednesday, I have 4 different projects that I cycle through the first, second, third, fourth Wednesday of the month. Thursday, public facing day. Friday, CEO day. Working on big projects to grow my business forward. Saturday is fun day. Saturday, this is not included in the Instagram post that you saw, but Saturday is my day with my wife. And so I'll always plan something. We spend the whole day, there's no working. It's just our day where I plan surprises, usually something food related, some activity, and that's our entire day together. And then Sunday is family admin day, which is Costco and shopping and laundry and like all the stuff that you have to do to kind of run your life. And then I start over again on Monday. And so why is that helpful? One, I'm a big believer in staying in energy zones. To talk to you and then go talk to somebody else is super easy. To talk to you and then go write my book is super hard. Mm-hmm. And to have, a 40-minute window to write my next book is also super hard because it takes me 40 minutes just to remember what I was doing from the last time I was writing the book. So having similar energy states allows you to be hyper productive. Mm-hmm. Second is I like to miss my work. So I recorded videos on Tuesday, all day. Yesterday, I don't want to look at YouTube videos. Today, I'm feeling a little bit better. Come Saturday, it's like, I'm kind of missing YouTube. Like I get to work on it. Like when am I? And then come Tuesday, like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's make some videos today. Mm-hmm. So I like to miss the work. And so, if you're an entrepreneur, you get to choose your schedule. I like to run a no crisis business. So I don't take on clients and I don't do projects that require my constant ongoing attention, because that means I'm just being pulled into fires instead of actually getting to live an intentional life. And it's how long I've been doing it, I don't know, a decade plus. Like it's super productive.
Wow. I like the word that you used, intention. So, let's talk to the young entrepreneurs. Young entrepreneur, they've started their business, they're moving on up. Let's say they're in years 1 to 3. You just said something which is I'll paraphrase, you're very selective of the type of clients that you take on because you want to make sure that there's the right fit and they're not going to be pulling you from what you need to be pulled from. But how does that young entrepreneur make that decision? I mean, when I was a young entrepreneur, if you came near me, I sold it to you. They're like, do you do this? Yes. Do you do that? Yes. And it creates a massive sort of block in the pipe where you find yourself not being affected. Any thoughts or advice or tips on how to not fall into that trap?
I think a starting point is to understand what you value most. So, in my book, Built to Serve, we go through a 3-step process. The first one is who, and that's what is your who. So my most important core value is believe. So I want to be around people who believe in others, who try to uplift others. Just having that awareness, that becomes your filter for the world, mm-hmm. right? I'm on here because Greg believes in others too, and he's trying to create a show to help others believe in themselves as well. It may not be his highest core value, but it's part of what he believes in. So I'm mm-hmm. honored to be here. You run that filter through everybody that you meet, including your clients, and you say, are they? If somebody loves, like they come off with a believe vibe, I'm gonna like to work with them. If they're not, if they're putting other people down, it's already red flags. Mm-hmm. Second is you just have to start to listen to your intuition a little bit more. And the intuition will come from getting the experience. It's the pattern recognition. As you go through enough clients, you start to see similarities, right? As you work with however many entrepreneurs, through your lifetime, you've seen patterns that come up with certain kinds of people, and you can start to bucket people. It's not just forming a judgment to say, well, I'm going to write him off, but you start to see, okay, I think we're diving down that same path. So the more people you work with, the more you're going to start getting better in pattern recognition, and just work on small things at the start. I don't think it's bad to say yes to everything at the beginning when you don't know what you're doing, because you don't know what you're doing. So how do you get it? Well, by doing. And inside of one small yes, maybe you find something that you love doing and a client that is amazing that becomes a multi-million-dollar client for you because you said yes back at day one. As you gain more experience, as you know who your ideal clients are, as you know what your value proposition is, you can afford to be more selective.
Right.
and start bringing on the best people. But at the beginning, when you don't know what you're doing, I think it's great. I think it's great to get that experience.
Yeah. So I think there's the answer, which is when you're young and you just got to take it all on and, live that lesson or sort of gain that experience. So let me come back to one thing. I didn't know that was your parents on the famous wall there. Obviously, seeing it there and like the icons and stuff. You said one of your core values, or the core value, is believe, and it's in everything that you do and stuff. How much do you think your parents contributed to that, just in the way they raised you and spoke to you? I mean, when they were talking about you being defeated or stressed as a kid.
Yeah, huge. I mean, again, they would tell me, "You're Evan Carmichael. My mom's last name is Castrilli. You could do anything that you believe that you can." Anytime that I struggled, I didn't do well on a test, I had some kind of failure, that's the constant lesson that they would give me. And I'm very grateful and very blessed to have amazing parents. But it also doesn't have to be that way. I mean, I think in my first book, Year One Word, I wrote about two NBA All-Stars who, NBA, you've already made it to the league, but you're an all-star, so you're among the best of the best. And one guy said, I got here because of my parents, because I want to be exactly like them, because they taught me the rules and the path. And the other guy said, also NBA All-Star, I got here because of my parents, because I never want to be like them, because they were, my father's a terrible human being, I hate him, and I want to be the exact opposite of him, right? So it doesn't mean that you can only win if you have great parents. They give you a model for how they live their life. And if you like that model, you can copy it. And if you don't, you know exactly what not to do and to get better mentors. So I'm grateful that I had fantastic mentors there, but they're not entrepreneurs. And so I have, you can't really see, but I got Steve Jobs here, and then I got my parents here. And I think you need to pull different things from different people to be the best you. The goal isn't to be the next Steve Jobs, it's to be the best Evan Carmichael, the best Greg Witz.
Yeah.
And you get that by pulling different pieces. So I want to be a father like my father was, not like Steve Jobs, because Steve Jobs was not a great father, at least by all accounts.
Yeah.
But I want to be a visionary like Steve Jobs, but not like my dad, because my dad's not a visionary, right? So it's like taking the different pieces from the different people to help you be the best you.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that. I've recently figured that out. I had an interesting relationship with my father. He was like a Steve Jobs type of personality, extremely brilliant and incredible at what he did. But, dad wasn't the best and suffered along the way. And it took me a long time to start to figure out that I don't have to take everything, but I could take some of those good pieces and some of those lessons and still live them. So I do want to ask you, is there a specific order to the photos on the wall, or it's just random?
Yeah, so sure. Yeah. Okay. So Steve Jobs is here because he wants to put a dent in the universe.
Okay.
And that's what I want to do. Like, big visionary, put a dent in the universe. Next is AP Giannini. He's my favorite entrepreneur of all time. He started Bank of America. He bet on the little guy. He was the believe banker. He gave money to Walt Disney when everybody thought Disney was crazy, and lent money off of a handshake and a look in the eye. If you can imagine a banker giving you a loan based off of a handshake and a look in your eye. So, it's like
only that way in today's age, in 2020.
It's like not right. Like not possible. So have a big vision from Steve Jobs. The vision is to help entrepreneurs. Well, how do I help entrepreneurs? Well, I want to help them believe in themselves more, because that's from my parents here. So then we have Howard Schultz and Kanye West on there. And if the audio's cutting out, let me know.
That's okay. I got you.
Howard Schultz he started Starbucks.
Yep.
And why he's on there was there's this one speech that he was doing, a shareholders event. And somebody said, Howard, why are we supporting same-sex marriage? Starbucks was one of the first big companies to support same-sex marriage with their employees and give them benefits. And he said, because we see the world through the lens of our people, not through just making money. If you don't like the returns you're getting on Starbucks, feel free to sell your shares and go buy something else. Which, for a CEO of a publicly traded company, you can never hear that. Sell your shares and go buy something else?
Yeah.
Would never happen. So, what do I believe? I believe and believe from my parents, and then it's standing up for your beliefs, which is why Howard is there. And then the last one is Kanye West, and that's an interview that he did on a radio station where he said, the time is now to be the greatest you. The time is, like, I don't want to sit inside of a corporation for the next 30 years. It's like right now I got to go do it. So the order becomes like, have a big vision, bet on entrepreneurs through belief, stand up for that belief, and then the time is now. And that happens super quick when I walk into the office, but that's the quick story behind.
Yeah, man, I love that, just surrounding yourself by sort of, things that promotes and get you to think in certain ways. So here's another question. So I see Steve Jobs there on the other wall, but is there room for more people, and who's next on the wall?
I don't know if I can add more people. I've switched up my camera angles over the years, where I put, there's the mannequin of the guy wearing my suit. I got that idea because on Arrow, if you ever watch Green Arrow,
yeah, for sure.
When they're in their base, they take off their outfit and they put it on a mannequin.
Right.
And I've always told myself, I feel like I'm a superhero when I put this on, off to go, change the world. So I need my own mannequin in my. This is my lair. I'm Batman. I used to say I'm Batman, but whatever. Green Arrow works too. I'm probably gonna fill the wall with the YouTube. Like, we already have 4 YouTube plaques, and now the other channels we have we got 2 that are gonna cross 1 million relatively soon, and a bunch of others that are gonna hit the 100K mark. So I might just fill that wall with YouTube plaques. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Amazing. Well, I'm gonna save that, because selfishly, that's where I wanted to go today, which is, how do I become like you on YouTube? But we'll come back to that question. But I do want to ask you something. I heard a story about how you started this top 10. Okay. And it started with a bet with your friend.
So
tell us about that.
So Kanye was the first one that I did a top 10 on, and this was I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago maybe. Where my friend, a close friend of the channel, Mark Jager, has been my friend for a decade plus, wrote a blog post about Kanye West and Taylor Swift and how he interrupted her. And it's like years after the whole thing happened. Like, why are we still talking about this? And it bothered me that people weren't willing to learn from Kanye West, that we only look at him as a negative influence. Just like, hey, your dad, you may not like everything about your dad, but if I can learn one thing from him, that makes me better. I love learning the positive side from people and just disregard the stuff that doesn't serve me. And I wanted to spread that. So I said, you know what, Mark, Kanye's won more Grammy Awards than anybody at his age in history. He's successfully moved from being a producer to a rapper to an entrepreneur. You can learn from him. And so I threw away my calendar for the day and just made a top 10 rules on Kanye West. It was never supposed to be a series or anything else. It was just my friend Mark Jager needs to watch this video because he has to have some respect for Kanye West. That was it. That was the whole intention. And then we put it up, and it did well. And then people said, you should make this a series. Like, oh, okay. That wasn't really what I was trying to do. Yeah. Who do you want me to do next? And they said, well, do a Jeff Bezos and do a Jay-Z and it's like, okay. I mean, I guess there's enough to be able to do it on these people. And so that was the start.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
now
it's been a pillar for your business.
It's definitely been an iconic part of the brand as we've grown. It also came at a great time where YouTube was shifting to be more of an educational platform. I've been on YouTube for 11 years. And at the beginning, YouTube was nobody would watch. If you put this video, an hour-long interview on YouTube, like, you would just die. Nobody would go. It was man falls down icy staircase and just little meme videos, not educational. Now, if you're in education, you have to be on YouTube. It's the place people go to when they're trying to find a solution. So that was when it was starting to shift as well. So I was hitting it, I guess, at a good time. I'm not smart enough to know that, like, this is where it's going to go. Right. I didn't predict this or anything, but it started to take off, and really just following my heart. It was a distraction project. I had other stuff to do that day, but my friend Mark, bothered me so much with that blog post that now I'm throwing away my day to make this one video just for Mark.
Right. And where's Mark today? Is he still a buddy?
Yeah. We have a podcast together. He's actually grown closer as a friend over the years. So that, and he knows that I mentioned him in these stories. It's a fun look backwards.
Amazing. So you mentioned a podcast. Do you have a podcast, or you're just on YouTube?
So I have a podcast with Mark.
Okay.
that we co-host, and he takes care of all of the
Mhm.
posting and all that stuff. Otherwise, no. Like, I don't take my videos and put them to a podcast form.
Mhm.
And people say, why?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a visual learner, so
Mhm.
I'd much rather see videos. And there's still just so much opportunity inside of YouTube before I have to worry about anything else.
Mhm.
So podcast I don't listen to a single podcast, none, because audio is the hardest way for me to learn.
Mhm.
People listen to podcasts at 2x speed. I'd have to slow it down to like half speed, because
Mhm.
if I couldn't see you on this call right
Yeah.
now, I'd be like, I'd have to do this just to hear
Concentrate.
your
I get
voice
it.
and super focused. So audio is the worst for me. And I get that it's awesome for the people. Just for me, it's the worst.
Mhm.
So because I don't play in that sandbox, and my sandbox right now is still so wide open, I'm choosing to focus and stay here.
Cool. So let's switch over to YouTube. I'm in the midst of building up YouTube, as you know. Best practices. How do I get my channel going? How do I scale it?
So first off, who are you trying to serve with your audience? Like, who are you connecting to?
This is a very big question that we have at Witz, which is we have a
Okay.
wide audience,
Okay.
and we have tried to create this profile a lot of times. And I think, historically where we do training, as much as we've done it, call it from a corporate and an individual standpoint, people come in for different reasons. But I hear the point, which is identify the target audience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's understanding next that for most, if you want to have a big YouTube channel, it's got to go to beginner. You got to go back to basic stuff.
Okay.
If the goal of the YouTube channel is just to be lead flow for your high end business, you could talk about more advanced stuff. It's just going to go over most people's heads. If you think about the work you actually do with your clients,
Mm-hmm.
if you recorded that and put it public, most people would have no idea what you're talking about,
Right.
because you're coming in at such a high level, but that person keeps up with you, right? YouTube and any social media is, if you want big audience, you want to get 1 million subscribers, you got to cater to absolute beginners.
Okay.
That helps build your brand, and then that helps lead funnel into the next step. Like, if you want more advanced work, well, we've got courses, we got books, we got programs, we got audio, we got coaching, whatever the next step is.
Yeah.
But absolute beginner level stuff. Next, the decision of how much are you the guy versus are you the interviewer guy?
Mm-hmm.
What's Greg Witz's role?
Yeah, and it's funny because we started this podcast out of effort of contributing to content, but it is me being the guy. Now, how that comes across, either me in front of the room or me as the interviewer, we're also figuring out. But pick that path, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So if you want to be the Larry King, great, be the Larry King. It's very much then fueled by your guests, by the questions you ask, by trying to get the best out of them each time. Ask them questions they haven't been asked on the 8,000 other shows they've been on, so you have something unique about yours. But Larry King, we don't know what Larry King stands for, or like, who is he? What are his thoughts? I don't know, but he's a great interviewer. So that's a great way to build it up. But if you want to be known as the guy, like, no, I'm Greg, and I'm an expert. I can change people's lives.
I got some shit to share.
Yeah, I got some stuff to share too. Right. So then it's okay. Well, where are we seeing you, in what format? That, especially at the beginning, making it easy to create content, and reducing the production quality, because quality content is really quality of thought. So a lot of people don't make videos because they don't have the right microphone, or they don't have the right camera, or the right lens, or the right background. And great posts. Like, I'm not interested in you because of how fancy your office looks. I'm interested in you because you're going to teach me something. Right? Now, if you're a videographer, if you're a graphic designer, if like that's your business, then yeah. If you're a videographer and your reel sucks, you're not going to get hired.
Right.
But understand why people are watching you. It's for the knowledge exchange that you're going to give them. So that's above all else. Then inside of the format, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to do standard, just talk to the camera videos like here, where you're going to share a powerful opinion and teach me something? Are you going to do coaching? I think coaching is a fantastic model for a lot of people, where you bring on either in a public setting like an Instagram live or something and bring guests on, or part of your current base of leads or clients that come and share their story and get, hey, free 25 minutes with Greg. But the condition is it's public, and we can use that to inspire other people who are like you. You could book one a week for the next week, easy for the next year, right?
It's a really good idea, actually.
For someone like you, you don't need to be prepped with like any question they're going to ask you. You're going to know how to answer. You've seen it. You've been through it enough. You're going to have a great answer. You don't need to know what the 18 questions they have are coming in. So that's great for a brand new person who's trying to do it. They might have to be more prepared, but you've had decades of experience. That's your preparation.
Right.
So you just need to have somebody on, and maybe that's Rob or somebody else, who's screening people a little bit so that they're not just total dead weight on air, that they can actually ask, a question.
Good questions.
Yeah. And then you show, it doesn't even have to be in person. It could be over this, like you have a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And you have people come in, and then you just show up, no preparation. The 15 minutes of you on the video becomes a 15-minute video, right? There's a little bit more editing for someone like Rob, because the fire moments of those videos are likely halfway through. It's not like fire right from the start, because you don't even know what this is about yet.
Yeah.
So you have to take those highlight moments and put them to the beginning. So you got to edit it. When you're doing you talking to the camera just straight up, then you can, you lead with your powerful opinion, may require less editing. Whether you're good in front of a whiteboard and you like kind of diagramming stuff out, whether you get great ideas and go on rants when you're walking outside or driving in your car, like where is Greg the most alive, energetic, passionate, and then filming around that instead of making it stressful to say, okay, I got to go make YouTube videos now. I need to go sit in my office.
Yeah. What you just said there is and I'll paraphrase it, which is, if you want this, there's no choice in except just to be consistent and to keep doing it and to keep tweaking it and to keep serving it.
Yeah. And just lowering the barrier, right? So if Rob is not there, Rob is sick, or Rob, great. Screw you, Rob. I'm still filming today, right? Like we still got to like we're going, we're filming. Like I'll still film videos off my cell phone if I'm traveling.
I see you all the time, actually. I've been watching specifically over the last few weeks. I've been digesting your content a lot. And I see a lot of those. You walking in the parking lot, you walking down the hall, you just, flipping up the phone.
It's because I'm at some event that I'm speaking at, and I need to get videos done every week. And now I'm making, I don't know how many videos. Like we launch 4 to 5 videos a day.
Wow.
I'm making a lot of videos. So there's no, like if I wait till I get back home, I might have like 4 different events over 4 weeks. I'm going to come home and just be a disaster. So no, I'm filming on the road. Yeah. So yeah, I've got a break. Great. I'm going to hit the parking lot, pull up my phone and start talking. And I don't have a mic even attached to this. Just go film. I got 2 million subscribers still doing it this way. Right.
And how much do you plan your videos, or is it just in the moment that you're like, here's a thought, I'm going to capture it. And like, do you take time planning? Do you take time, thinking about the titles up front, scheduling them?
So it depends on the series. So if it's a series that's been like the top 10 series, for example, we know what we're doing. We've been doing that for like 5 years. We have a system. We're still making a lot of little micro tweaks to the intro, to the thumbnail, to the title that many people may not even notice. You got to really be paying attention. But for the most part, we got a system, and I can blast those out super quick. For other ones, especially a new series, it may come because I just feel inspired. Like anytime you have heightened emotion, film. You're jazzed because you just got out of a speaking gig or a coaching event or coaching client.
Interview with Evan,
and like something hits, film. And if Rob's not ready to get the right focus and everything else, great, pull out your phone and just film, right? Yeah. Because and I'm not trying to razz on Rob. I love Rob. Just that's typically how like people will think, well, I can't do it unless this. But then that energy and excitement that you got in waiting for Rob to show up tomorrow is gone.
Right.
And the thought leadership combined with the energy and heart is going to be the thing that carries the day more than the quality of the picture. So I had to have this conversation with my video guy, where he would take so long to set up the shot that I would lose the energy waiting for him to focus me, right? It's like, dude, autofocus, I don't care. You can't autofocus, dude, I don't care. Like your fancy zooming in is not going to save the day if I suck on camera, right? And I'm feeling it right now. We need to go. So you have one camera that's on wide that's just and I'm talking. Go.
Cool.
Right? And worst case, you pull out your cell phone and hold it horizontal, and you just film. I've done videos in the total dark where you can barely see me, but it's such fire and energy because I was feeling it. Like that's going to be some great content for your kind of thought leadership expert channel, because what's in your head, your job is to teach people to think like you think. You're a weird guy. You're a weird duck. Like you see the world differently than other people see it. And your job is to teach other people to see it like you see it. And if we're not making content and putting it up there, or you're not as enthusiastic or energetic because you're waiting for something to be perfect, then the audience doesn't get that experience.
Yeah. Look, you helped me with this one. It was a selfish question. I think, for the broader audience, there's a lot of guidance in how to sort of invest and put energy into YouTube. But what you just did for me there was, in some cases, give me permission to not be such a perfectionist, because it's not Rob that wants to focus it for 45 minutes. It's me. But hey, we've got the production. We want to keep going. But cool. Very cool. Okay. Wow. Time is flying. So if we were going to advise someone in their 20s today on what they have to do to be successful, what would some of those tips or thoughts be?
I think even just rewind what we just talked about for you on YouTube and just apply that to your situation. Like if you listeners only heard what I talked about as me helping Greg for YouTube, you missed out on a giant conversation, because you're not like that 20-year-old or whoever's getting started. The biggest problem is you're not starting. So it's giving yourself permission to just start, to not be the perfectionist. I lost a $40 million deal when I was in my early 20s because I was a perfectionist. And it's something that I learned that lesson. Like I got to stop being a perfectionist. I just got to get it out there. So that idea that you have, like, trust the idea that you have, trust that it's good. And then just go do something about it and stop worrying about it being perfect.
Cool. Couple more questions. Mentorship. How important is it for someone to have mentorship in their life?
I think one, it's learning styles. So some people learn best by actually having somebody in front of them walk them through the XYZs, even though you can buy Greg's book or you can buy Greg's, audio program or whatever. Sometimes some people just learn best by having Greg in front of them, teaching them how to do it. So if that's you, then you should definitely heavily invest into coaching and mentorship, and accountability along the way. I think everybody, though, can benefit from learning from people who've done more than they have. I lean heavily on aspirational mentors. I watch my videos for myself as part of my morning routine every day. Today, I watched Richard Branson's Top 10 Rules. He's my mentor. I have met Richard, but
and you filmed that Top 10 a while ago, but you watched it today.
This one I filmed, a while ago would be in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes I'll look at the old ones too, right?
Yeah.
So it just depends. But every morning I'm watching something that is lifting me up, because I want to think more like Richard Branson. And sure, I've met him once, but I don't have his phone number, and he's not buying a jet to fly me out to Necker Island, right? So I'm not, I'm not his homie, but I can learn from him every day. I can learn from people like that every day, and they inject their knowledge into me, and I learn it best through video. But if you're not a video guy or girl listening, audio, there's so many podcasts, books, there's so many books. Like, how do you learn best? Hack that style. And then those can be your mentors, in addition to people who are maybe more accessible, who you can go and hire as coaches.
Very cool. So on that note, and I'm sure you're going to say everyone, but if you were to pick the top 3, top 5 books, mentors, thought leaders, people that one would start with, who would those be?
I really think it's important to map your actions to your ambitions, right? So like, what do you want to be? And then who's doing it?
Mm-hmm.
right? So for some people starting, Greg might be the greatest mentor of all time for you. Uh, if you want to start, uh, a ballet school, maybe he's not. I don't know. I mean, it's like, who's done the thing that you want to do? So at the beginning, when I started my YouTube career, I was looking at Dara Lees and Tim Schmoyer heavily, who are two YouTube, experts, and they're still making content now.
Right.
But I was watching every video. My first collabs that I did were with them on their channels. And now I don't watch it as much. And I learn from other people different things, because growing on YouTube, I've already done all the best practices. We're now creating new best practices,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what is it that you want to do? And what I would suggest is, there's so many experts and there's so many thought leaders and there's so much content. People feel overwhelmed. Don't be afraid to leave. Like, don't
Right.
feel like just because you started the book doesn't mean you have to finish the book.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
tons of books. Like, read 10 pages. And if you don't like it, you didn't learn something. It doesn't mean that author sucks or you suck. Just the pairing isn't right. Go find something else.
Mm-hmm.
Watching YouTube videos. My videos might be the greatest thing of all time for you, or they may suck for you. Like, give one video 5 minutes. And if you learn something, great. I've got lots of content for you. And if you haven't, then there's somebody else making content, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's Gary or Greg or Grant or any of these guys. There's lots of content out there for you. And then I recommend starting on the free stuff, start on the video, start on the podcast. If you've learned something and you've gotten value, then move up to buy the book. What is this? This book is $27, right? So you like all my free stuff, buy the book, right? If you like the book and you're getting like 10x, 100x, 1000x value from that, then you go to the next step and buy whatever the training, the courses, mentorship from that person. Because there's so many people who could teach you, but what is it that you want to learn? Skill set, and who do you just vibe with the most?
Right.
Like, this
Right.
person makes me feel better about myself, so I'm going to hang with them more.
Right. I like that answer. I think what you said there was we overdo it with the learning and the digesting of content and the thought leadership and the pressure. Particularly, I mean, my wife just joined a new company, and the first thing she was handed was 3 books. You must read these 3 books. And she went, I don't know. Like, 2 of them she actually had read just from from me, and she had been exposed to them. And one of them she's just not jiving with, but it's a business thing. But I like the fact that you said be very precise and intentional about what you're taking in, and make sure that it's aligning with, I'm going to just paraphrase, your values, where you're going and what you're trying to achieve. Cool. Okay, this might be a little bit out to left field, but have you ever thought about doing like the top 10 series for kids? Like, I got a 6-year-old daughter at home who I want nothing more for her just to learn great skills and habits. And I know this isn't a parenting show, but have you ever thought about doing something for like the YouTube kids channel with like the top 10 and motivational lessons?
Not as a separate channel, not as a YouTube Kids. I think there's still so much opportunity inside of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of people watch, like, I have my son for the past
stuff. Yeah.
3 years has been exposed, not like he's obsessed with like, I got to watch every video that his dad puts out, but he's been exposed to watching the content. A lot of parents watch a video of mine in the car on the way to school as part of their daily rituals, routines. I've heard a lot of teachers say, like, teachers put my videos on in their classrooms to say, we're teaching the same stuff, but they won't listen to me. But they'll listen to this.
You, yeah.
They'll listen to this. Okay, great. And we've always muted swear words, and personally, I don't swear, and that's actually become a huge plus for people with kids.
Mm-hmm.
It was never. I'm not that smart. I never thought about this going forward, but that's been a big bonus in that all the content is always positive. We're never trashing on anybody. There's always a lesson to be learned. There's never swear words in there.
Mm-hmm.
The content is fairly easy to digest. You don't have to sit and watch 4 hours of Elon Musk to get something out of it. So it's the audience has gone a lot younger than I would have planned for or expected. So maybe not, I forget how old you said, like 6, maybe not 6-year-olds watching it, but definitely is there the amount of
going into 9, 10, 12, 13. Yeah.
For sure. The amount of people, the 10-year-olds who follow me on Instagram, who message me when I'm going live, is bonkers. And I'm also jealous. Like, imagine, I wish I had that when I was 10,
Right.
right?
Right.
We
Can
had
you
10.
imagine? Could you imagine if we were parented, exposed, taught? I think what's so cool, I don't know, I don't know your son, but like, I could just imagine he wakes up 18, 21, 25 years old and he looks back and he says, look at what my father's done and this incredible wealth of knowledge and stuff that's just been brought to my life. And not just your own son, like other kids, man. You know, your book, Built to Serve, I think there's more meaning to that than anything. I think you're not built to serve. I think you have an obligation to serve with what you're doing. I think you contribute to this world in ways that, you know, we need, and we need more people like you. So thank you for doing what you do, man.
Cool, man. Well, you know, at the same time, I think everybody is capable. I'm not special. I'm just living it. I
Right.
think everybody is capable of doing it. I think I like to say everybody's got Michael Jordan level talent at something. I'm closing in on mine. And this is definitely a moment right now. And I want other people to, everybody else can have this same level of impact too, if they just chase down their thing.
Cool. And on that note, I think we'll end it with that, because that was a nice line that you just said there, which is hey, it comes back to belief, right? Just believe in yourself and keep it going.
Can't
Awesome.
help it.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Evan, once again, you are an inspiration. You are the definition of someone that does it and you know, lives everything that you do. So I've really enjoyed today. Thank you. I think in some cases, I don't know if this was a podcast of me just wanting to hang out and, like, you know, ask some questions. So either or, I think we got some great stuff today.
I love it. Cool. Thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, I'm Greg Witz. Thanks so much for coming and checking out the video. If you like that video, you're going to love the next one. So I'd highly suggest that you click this video over here. And don't forget to subscribe and share.